Well, hey there, YouTube. It's PD2 Fender, and oops, I recently did battle with this keyboard. Who all of the keys didn't work. Um, I was able to get it working, and we're going to talk about that. But first, I wanted to take you over and show you this product. This is a product by a company called Keg Labs, and you apply this on contact points. And this will be a rubber pad maybe with those black circles on it. Really don't know the correct terminology, but you supposedly apply this, and then that will have it make contact again. Because as this stuff ages, sometimes the chemical that made it conductive will peter out, and then you'll be left with a device that's non-functional. So, like this guy said, he recently had problems with his old Roland keyboard, and he's cleaned the contacts. It takes him 4 hours, and then the problem will reoccur. So, this is probably what you need to do rather than playing around with uh, pencils or graphite, which the graphite didn't work at all for me. If you guys want to hear this whole story, I'm going to tell it. But I also wanted to just talk about solvents. We use a combination of vinegar and water as a solvent, and that's the really weakest stuff. It works great for cleaning your LCD display or your laptop screen. The next up solvent that I like to use here is just Windex, and we do use that. Um, 70 or 90% isopropyl alcohol. I always call this rubbing alcohol, but it's not. This is really great. This is naphtha. And if you don't have naphtha, you can go get a whole, like a big old metal Keystone bottle, Sunnyside bottle of it for like about $7 at Home Depot. And this is the best solvent. Naphtha is like, it's like got a gasoline, like a really good smell to it. Um, it may be my favorite chemical smell, and it really does a great job, but it doesn't damage. It's not a real strong solvent, you know. Naphtha's pretty. It's like a contradiction because it's real strong, but it's not. It doesn't damage stuff. That I gotta be careful what I say because I'm sure there are surfaces that if you apply this stuff, it will damage it. So you got to be really careful. Do a test swatch, as they say. Next up would be the thinner. I like to use paint thinner, and then going crazy, the atomic option is acetone. Now, acetone can be purchased at Walmart for $1. They have nail polish remover, which there's two different kinds. One has maroon or pinkish lettering. The other has black. They might change that from time to time, so you just want to make sure that you're not getting the one that has scent or fragrance in it. You're looking for 100% acetone, and that's labeled. So just make sure that it says 100%, and you're good to go. Now, when you have a problem of keyboard not working, the keys don't work because the contacts are worn out. Uh, if you read into that, you'll find a lot of people have a lot of different solutions, or people have tried a lot of different things, and some people will say that the graphite, fix your MIDI keyboard with a pencil. Yeah, that's a video. That didn't work for me, but I did not have the proper pencil. You're supposed to get I had mechanical pencil. You're supposed to get a 2H, which is a specific drafting or art sketching pencil that has a very, like if we take a number two pencil and we draw, it'll be kind of a very dark line. This is a much lighter line. It's a much harder graphite, and I am going to have to purchase that. I want some 2H pencils here kept in a specific location. So when I need that type of graphite, I can try it. So what we did, we disassembled this thing. There's two screws to remove the entire keyboard. And then you remove the ribbon connector and you can pull it out and freely work on it. So using this pick tool to pop the springs off and to put them back on was very helpful. When you get all of the keys out, we would take the key, pop the springs off the back. There's a white keys have a longer spring. The black keys have a shorter spring in this model. And they're color coded. So we wrote the names on the keys, make it easier to put them back in. And when you put them back in, you do all the black keys first, and then the white keys pop into there. If you try to do them in a row, it's not going to work. Once you get everything off of there, you'll see that there are these conductive strips. In this case, they were gray strips, and they have little doohickeys sticking down. A skinny guy, a thick guy, a skinny guy. And we found that rather than using this tool to put inside that rubber and then push it in through its hole in the PCB, which more than likely would damage it, this would cut through. We used this angle, which made it less of a chance, because that's only short, that we would be damaging it. And that was the tricky part, getting those rubber studs back into the holes. And it was really difficult at one point. It seemed like if we soaked them in water when we were cleaning them, then it would be easier to pop in than when they were really dry. And maybe that's just me, but that was the bummer of the deal, you know. And the first pass was just cleaning it, and we really cleaned them. We really cleaned the contacts, and we really cleaned the rubbers. All kinds of different things. We used bleach-based soapy spray and water, and then dishwashing soap, and then cleaning them with a Q-tip, and 90 alcohol, cleaning them with a Q-tip with, I want to say acetone, naphtha. And that brought it to about 90%. But there were still keys that didn't work. Now, this joy knob here, this guy, it moves back and forth like that, and then it goes this way too. So it's an XY controller, and that's rubberized, and all these switches here are rubberized as well. And that rubber had kind of deteriorated or become sticky. Like if you buy old stuff from resale shopping, sometimes you'll pick something up and it'll stick to your hand. Well, I found that cleaning that, I always tried to clean it with rubbing alcohol or thinner. Really, you need to use the naphtha, and that'll get that clean. But my first pass, you know, and initially, this is an older unit, they're all being Roland. This is a really hefty, there's a nice throw in the keys. Like if we look at my other audio, I've got 3 MIDI keyboards that I can reach and grab in this area. This is not much. Is this velocity sensitive? I'm not sure. But I really wanted to get this going because it's hefty. It's got a little bit more keys. Over there in the other area, I've got an 88? I'm not sure. It's not an 88. A 60 something. That last year I was griping, and we went out, and there it was. You know, like I specifically griped about, MIDI controller. I had like thrown some M audio ones away. I've been down the road with MIDI controllers. We'll just say it that way. I buy them used, and they're usually messed up, and then I'll bring them back around, or you know. But the M audio ones they're not the best. Now the one that I had that I used on the album last year, that was the one where I griped about it, and we went out, and there it was for $10. That one, I really like it. It's made by M Audio, but it's got a good throw to the keys. There's a good amount of keys. It's big, and the velocity sensitivity seems to be really good. So if I wanted to, I could get the CaiKote out, my old synth. I think it's a full-size keyboard. It's huge. And that one that's probably the best keyboard in the house. Although this one's pretty good. It's pretty quiet, and I really like the feel on it. So we continued monkeying with it. We tried the graphite thing. I used a mechanical pencil. We colored in all the half moons. For each key, there's 4 half moons. We color those in. And then we used powdered graphite and applied that. We really kind of overdid it. Once we had applied the graphite to the inside of the connector strips, we put all those back together, and notes were sticking. There was so much graphite in there, you'd hit a note and it would just continue to ring out until you hit the MIDI panic button. But we still had like 90%, you know. So we cleaned all of that out of there. We soap and water cleaned the rubber strips, and then went at them with 90 alcohol, and then following it up with naphtha, and did the same thing on the strip. Being careful, because there's 2 glue strips north and south of where the rubber strips lay that try to hold that rubber down to prevent any dirt and dust from entering it. I ended up using a bit of thinner, like paint thinner, on the conductive contacts, because the graphite was not coming off. But we got it to the point where both of them were really clean, and then we burnished the contacts using an eraser. And every time I would use it for maybe 10 seconds. I would take this and then recut this area, because there would be some debris. There would be a little bit of dirt on this. I would cut that off, and we really did a good job of burnishing the PCB, and that's what did it. We ended up 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4 were not so hot, so I just pulled 4 springs off, pulled the 4 keys off, pulled that thing up, and I went at it and cleaned it, and I found like the Q-tip was coming back fouled. So after we cleaned that all up and then reapplied reburnished it, now I have a fully working MIDI keyboard. Hey, darling, this needs to have the screws put back in it. So I had read about this graphite trick before. I had never tried it, although, like I mentioned, I didn't have the right type of graphite. So I'm sure this will not be the last time I'm going to find myself playing this game. But for now, we actually solved a problem that I had kind of resigned myself into thinking that perhaps I would not be able to solve, which sucks. So it was like, are you going to put those screws in there?
Are you going to make a video?
Okay, I'll take care of it.
I will, but I'm not going to do it right now.
Okay. Ultimately, I will be happy when the screws are in that thing. And it's D-U-N, done. But I thought this might be helpful to some of you guys. Some of you music guys out there, as there is a product to do it the right way. Like, you see all these people in the forum saying they fixed it, but how long is that gonna work for? And it looks like even with this paint, this isn't the best. This not paint, but it's CaiKote 44. There's another thing here called Keypad Fix. Like, my point that I'm getting at is, when you read the reviews, you'll find that it's like you really have to prepare it properly. You have to apply it properly, like you do multiple coats on it, and there's like dry time overnight for each coat. So my advice to you would be the first thing you should do is see if you can just get the replacement pad. Supposedly Roland fixed this. Like these pads, the first pads that they put in this, everybody had the problem. And if you bitched about it, they would let you know that you could purchase them. People, there were even like aftermarket ways to get these pads, and the new pads didn't have this problem. So it's a really unfortunate problem to have, and the only way to arm yourself is to know like all of those Roland Eterall keyboards, they all had the same problem. So keep that in mind. And if you're at a resale store and you're about to buy something, you're going to spend 25, 30 bucks on a MIDI controller used. Either test it or look up on the internet, did people that own that model suffer this problem? And then you might want to take a pass on it, or find out if the place you're buying it from has a return policy, or just be ready to jump into a project where you're going to be, it's a lot of nimble finger work. This was not fun. Not fun at all. And thank God that I had my wife she was popping that stuff in. I did one of them. That was enough for me. She ended up doing 2 more rounds of it. So thank you. You did a great job on that. And do you know that it works?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. All the keys are working perfectly. The 1, 2, and 4 were bad initially after we cleaned it, and then I went back in and re-burnished it. So we got it working, and it's one of those things because I mean it's a nice thing for the collection, but I didn't really need it. I could get by with a non-velocity sensitive keyboard over here that's lighter and smaller, but that's kind of a peeve to me. I really don't like playing keyboards on a real small, short keyboard. We had a piano in that, like a really nice piano when I grew up, and I played it. Later on, after I really got into music, I spent one summer just playing and singing. I had an echo box hooked up with a microphone, and using Fender Frontman 15 amps as a PA. But it was a lot of fun. Okay, you guys, look forward to maybe some keyboard parts in some of this music. I'm going to try to utilize that thing. So hope this was helpful and entertaining. We're having beef stroganoff for dinner, and I'm excited about that. I always like eating that, even though it kind of sounds disgusting. Take care of yourselves and hug your pets. Peace.